£1,000. British pounds. Bell. They're not responding. Email, they're not responding. Hey, I want to go to the mother's house and see if they respond, because if I go to the mom's house now, we've all been scammed, right? You know, like, no. And I'm not talking about like small money, like, oh yeah, I gave a sweet to someone and they didn't give me money. I'm talking about big bread. First time I got properly scammed, I was 16. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do modeling. I'm still doing it small. But hi, I get invited down to London by this agency. I'm going to call them Eclipse Model Management. I'm gonna say their name because they vexed me. So I meet them there, and you know, you have a little interview. They ask me a little bit about myself. I tell them, oh yeah, I'm a bit of an actor, you know, blah, 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 blah. They say, do you know anything about modeling? No, this is where I screwed up. I lie and I say, yeah, I know. I follow modeling. They're like, okay. They said like name like 5 designer brands. I couldn't name for nothing. I was like, Gucci. And my mind went blank. I couldn't think of anyone. Then they said, okay, who is like a big fashion person that died in the last few months? And I was like, apparently Virgil Abloh, you know, he was a pretty famous guy. You know, my bad. So I was like, okay, I'm not getting this. They leave, probably have a little talk and say, this guy is absolute trash. They come back in and say, why you lie? I said, my bad, gang, my bad. So then they were like, okay, you know what? We're gonna give you a chance. We're offering you a contract. And I was like, that's lovely. And they said, it's gonna cost money. I said, Question mark? Now, I heard if you have to pay money for a modeling contract, it's not real. It's a scam. I didn't listen to that advice. I saw the advice on social. I said, they're just chatting. They're losers. They're losers that weren't able to get where I'm going. I gave him a band. Oh, sorry, let me just translate that. £1,000. British pounds. You know, I send them the money. I go home and, you know, I got signed type of shit. You know stupid. And the thing is, the other modeling agency that was at that was interested in me, they were actually legit. And I went with them. Why did I go with the one that cost money? I could have went for one that didn't cost. This is where things start to get a little bit rocky. I go home and I'm supposed to go to London to like train on how to model and, you know, all that kind of stuff. I live quite far away from London. I can't just, oh yeah, it's not just like a 10-minute bus journey. Yeah, I'm in London, mate. That's not how it is. It also costs money. So it's like, you're gonna pay for my transport time? You know, you better wait then. So we waited a few months. And then I'm emailing them, yo, when can I do this? Aired. One guy responds, oh yeah, you can come on this day. And I say, actually no, can I come on this other day because you know, life happens. I can't make that day. Keep in mind that response that guy sent, that's quite a bit after I said, yo, by the way, what's going on here? And then over the following months, I'm kind of like, okay, maybe they're busy with Milan Fashion Week or Paris Fashion Week. Bell. They're not responding. Email, they're not responding. Hey, I want to go to the mother's house and see if they respond, because if I go to the mom's house now, sorry, I just had to calm down there. This is quite traumatic for me. Now this is like a month ago. I'm on the phone to them about getting a refund, okay? Because what they said is if you don't get your money back by a year in, you should get a refund. It's a refundable deposit. That's why I put the 1K down. Don't think I was just a moo-moo. I wasn't just a moo-moo. I said, oh, okay, I'm gonna get the money back. They said, no, we can't give you the money back. I said, huh? What? They said, actually, in the contract, it says this. You actually have to look jobs for yourself on a login on our page. And I said, what do you mean log in on the page? How can I log in on the page when you didn't even train me? So how can I look for jobs without being trained? You know, it's kind of getting... I say this to them, and they're like, well, you didn't really email us, though. Dude, the guy was a little bit rude as well. He was getting a bit of cheek. And then, you know, I was taking it because my mom was also in the room. And then, you know what set me off? He said, oh yeah, I know because you're 19, you don't really understand how the world works. I said, shut up, you're flipping. I said, shut up your mouth, you brat. I called him every name under the sun. I said, stop being cheeky. I said, stop being cheeky or else we're gonna have problems. I'm not on nothing, by the way. I really just wanted that money back. But you stop being cheeky or else we're gonna have problems. And then he said, okay, I'm sorry. He backtracked because he realized that I wasn't one of these guys that are just gonna fold. And I'm telling you, when I'm up, I'm suing that. The conversation ends and he's like, okay, I'm gonna get back to you in like a day and just like see, just like, you know, check our systems, you know what I'm saying? It has been 2 months. This is like what? Like, this is like 1 year, 8 months after I was signed. Like, man, I can't anymore. I just run me the bread. Just run me the band. And if someone says, oh yeah, why do you want a band so bad? Why do you want 1,000 so bad? You're not the target audience, my friend. Get out. Leave. I really just came on here to vent my frustration because I have a lot to say about this. I have a lot to say. Goodbye.